you, Danny, South China Morning Post. Mr. Juniac, you talked in your pre-briefing on Wednesday that you're gathering another meeting with the regulator, the airline manufacturer and MAX operators. Have you considered, or has there been any consideration on joint action for compensation, representing the airlines, joint action compensation against Boeing? And for Mr. Akbar and Mr. Cho, how do you feel about the MAX right now? Can you give me the timelines individually on when the MAX will come into service?
There is no, in the future meeting, which will gather regulators, operators, aircraft manufacturers, the purpose of this meeting is to try to find an alignment, strong collaboration, transparency on what is going to be done for this aircraft, for the re-entry into service in the best conditions for everyone. The question of compensation is totally out of the scope.
At the same time, as for myself, Chairman of the Board of Governors of IATA, I would not like to comment anything about the MAX issue. The matter is under investigation. We have full confidence in the regulators, both FAA and IASA, and at the same time, full confidence in Boeing for them to fully cooperate with the ongoing investigation and a solution to be found if there is found to be any problem.
Second to Akbar's comment, I would like to comment on this issue.
Okay, we'll take a question here. Second row.
Hello, that's Robin Ironside from The Australian. I just wanted to ask, is it unreasonable to think that the airline industry can improve sustainability and reduce its carbon footprint and maintain such low airfares?
We have demonstrated now for 10 years that we were able to take commitments. You remember the 3 commitments we made in 2009, reduce the emission per passenger between 2010 and 2020, and the target we had is not only fulfilled, we are better. Secondly, that starting in 2020 we will be carbon neutral growth, and in 2050 we will cut our emissions by 2 compared to the 2005 level. In the first 10 years, we have achieved a better performance than announced and committed. And you have probably noticed that there is a reduction in fares. So the question is not a matter of fares. It's a matter of working, investing for everyone in the industry, but also the government.
It is important to note that there has been a lot of research, there has been a lot of innovations. When you look at the emissions that is happening from the MAX, the NEO, the 777X that is imminently going to start being delivered from next year. You have 787s, you have the 350s, with all having huge emission reduction and reduction in fuel consumption. I'm also very confident that engine manufacturers are going to put a lot of research over the next 2 or 3 decades for us to be able to have air travel to be one of the most cleanest and the least polluting mode of transportation.
And as you know, in addition, the optimization of operations for airlines, but particularly for air traffic control in managing the sky is a significant source of savings.
The problem is that though governments are very keen to talk about emissions and CO2 issues, they are doing very little investment in improving the ATM. We are still operating the airspace as if we were still, quite frankly, 3 decades behind. It is such important matter that people should not only blame the aviation, they should also blame their governments to make the airspace administration more efficient, letting aeroplanes to be less on the air than keeping them on hold for long times. Also, making airways efficient, because there are times where you would want to go from point A to B that you can do, for example, in an hour, but due to the constraints imposed by regulators and, of course, at times using national security requirements, that 1 hour becomes an hour and a half. So these are also issues that really need to be properly addressed in order for us to achieve the carbon emission targets that we have put on ourselves.
Okay, question from Andreas.
Andreas Beach, Germany freelancer. What's your reaction to the comment of Commissioner Bulc this morning that she said, as the environmental costs are not covered in aviation costs, that has to change and we know how to do it? What do you expect from her to follow up on this claim? And the second question is, Alexandre has talked about flight training, which is a big topic now about very young people. Are you afraid that in general the market, the future market, might break away? As among people who are very young today, it's very unfashionable for some to fly at all. So you fear a future generation emerging that don't want to fly at all or very limited.
I will let Alexandre to answer your first question, and I would like to answer your second question.
You know, on the not covering the cost for aviation, may I remind you of two things. First of all, aviation is covering all the infrastructure costs. Nobody remembers, but we pay for everything, for airports, for air traffic control, for parking, everything. It's not the case of other transportation means, as far as I am aware of. First of all, and secondly, when we commit to reduce our carbon footprint by 2, including irrespective of the growth that we expect, it means that we will overcompensate. It's a tremendously ambitious goal when you think about it.
The answer to your second question is that though the aviation is contributing its fair share of the expenditure, what the governments are doing with those revenues that they collect from aviation, especially in the pretext of environmental tax or aviation tax, they are just using this to line their coffers with very little investment. Actually, the big part of the investment is coming from the airlines. And we at IATA, we should self-criticize ourselves. We have not properly relayed to the public the good work that IATA is doing in order for us to meet the environmental targets. And during my tenure as chairman of the Board of Governors, we have made a decision that now we as IATA will go and inform the public the achievements that under the leadership of this organization that we have done. The young generation, they have full right to understand and to challenge the air quality that they so wish. At the same time, they should know that there are big strides already being made. And the only thing that is happening for them to create this hype against air travel is for the misinformation that is being given to them for people to achieve their political ends, to get elected. And it is very easy to blame aviation without realizing that there are other modes of travel that are bigger pollutants than aviation.
Thank you. Another question here in the third row.
Thank you, Patrick Nash of the Sydney Morning Herald. Just in regards to the 737 MAX, could you just talk a bit about how long it will take to restore the damage that's been done?
I don't think that we should comment on this. This is not our business. This is the business of the regulators, and we just want to leave it to that. We prefer that we don't keep on dwelling upon the MAX issue. I think there are many other challenges that aviation face, and we should talk about that and not just dwell on a topic. When any positive information is given about the MAX, it is not relayed. It is always press would look at the sensational issues on the subject. So we, as IATA, we rather leave it to the regulators for you to ask these questions from, other than from IATA.
But in terms of the damage to your industry, how long will it take
yes,
to win that trust?
We are not taking this damage to the industry lightly. We know that a lot of our members have been affected, but we don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. When the proper findings and reports come out, then I'm sure the DG of IATA will give you the appropriate response to this question that you so much wish to be answered.
Okay, we'll take a question on the far side. Gentleman in the third row.
From the Gulf Times in Qatar. My name is Pratap John. In relation to environment friendly fuel that the industry is encouraging, there was a project that was launched in Qatar. Shell, Qatar Petroleum, even Qatar Airways has joined in promoting gas to liquid fuel use in aircraft. Could you kindly give an update on that? Where have they reached?
Well, you should be aware, I have repeated it several times, that gas to liquid fuel is available to aviation, and a lot of airlines are already using it, though they are not advertising it. Gas to liquids is an improved fuel for the airplane, but it is not the eventual fuel that we want. We want new types of fuel to be researched, which of course you know is under the title of biofuels. There are a lot of innovations and advancements in this biofuel, but the problem is that it is so exorbitantly expensive that at the end of the day the passengers will have to pay for it. I'm sure that in not too distant future there will be advances in biofuels whereby the costs could be equal to what we pay today for the F-gas. However, this will only happen by joint research and advancements, including both the technology from the engine manufacturers and getting together by major fuel producers like Shell, BP, ExxonMobil, and others. It will have to be a collective effort in order for us to achieve the goal that we have in that regard.
And additionally, we need governments, as I told in my speech, to invest and to help the biofuel sector to develop. You have seen no new energy, no renewable energy being developed without government support. Never happened.
And the governments are not supporting it with the way they should. It is an investment for the future generations, which they represent, and they should not just be interested to collect revenues from aviation, but they should invest equal to what taxes they collect from the aviation sector.
We take a question in the back.
Kathy Beck from Aviation International News. Mrs. Bush was rather clear, 33 billion euros in cost. Do you think this is a prelude to introducing a tax on kerosene in Europe?
As you know, we are not in favor of taxing kerosene. First of all, it's an international treaty that prevents that. First of all. Secondly, we do not think that it's the appropriate way of reducing carbon emission. For several reasons. First of all, if the product of the tax, as our chairman reminds us, is put in the general budget, it is lost for aviation, lost for research, lost for environment. First of all. And secondly, it has not been demonstrated that an economic sector is shifting its focus on different energy or sustainability due to a tax. Just think about what is happening in the automotive, which is progressively shifting to electric. It has no relation with any tax. It's a matter of conviction and investment and dedication of the actors. It's what we are doing. Nothing to be related to any tax or anything.
Okay, next question. Here in the front.
Ietke de Jong, Daily Telegraph, the Netherlands. Mr. Juniac, you mentioned the slot constraint on Amsterdam Schiphol. And you also mentioned that this was artificial. Could you elaborate on that?
Now, when I say artificial or real, it is when the capacity constraint in an airport is not sufficiently optimized. Either you have, a real capacity constraint, or it is artificial because it's badly managed, and so it happens that some airports have artificial capacity constraint. As far as I know, it is not the case, but they are real capacity.
We'll take a question at the back.
I'm J.P. Shaw, an editor and publisher of Travel Press Korea. First of all, thank you very much, IATA, in giving to the opportunity to work with Korean Air proceed this such a wonderful conference in this country, first time ever. And then my question is, based on 28 million Korean outbound market as of last year, and then we expecting about 30 million Korean outbound this year. Based on that, the market grows. I understand the travel industry will be in the future looks bright, but at the same time we have two airlines, one in Korean Air and Asiana, and then we have about 8 to 9 LCC, low-cost carrier. So someone say about the Korea already too many airlines at this moment. So in case we have a better the operation management among two full service airline and then other LCC, what's your IATA friendly advice for our Korea aviation industry? Thank you.
If I understand your question correctly, you're asking whether there are too many low-cost carriers in the market.
At the same time, what's your friendly advice to the better the management and operation for our industry, aviation industry in Korea? Thank you.
It's not for us to comment if there is too many or too few airlines. We welcome all members first of all, including the low cost. And the market forces will do what they have.
Okay. We'll take a question here in the front, and then we'll go to Malcolm and then Sam. Yeah, in the middle, and then Malcolm and then Sam.
This is Samir Schultz of This Travel Germany. Mr. Juniac, since last year at the IATA AGM in Sydney,
you also try to endeavor to win more LCC carriers as new members of IATA. How you advance in that respect so far?
You will see in the list of new members that will be published just after the break that you have several LCC joining IATA. So we are progressing. To give you an average figure, we have 20% of our members which are qualifying themselves as new model airlines, going from low cost to hybrid. So it's a significant number. And we still welcome all low costs, including the big ones in Europe, in the US, and in Asia.
EasyJet line still on the list.
I'm sure that sooner or later they will be our members.
And then Sam.
Yeah, Malcolm Ginsberg, Business Travel News, London. Yesterday we heard that the IATA policy was for not for privatisation of airports, which I felt a bit strange, particularly in the UK. As you know, the BAA was privatised, and we've got a much better system there. And I believe you also had problems with Paris and other airports too.
If you remember, 2 years ago and last year, we said about privatization that the position of IATA was to tell governments, when you look at the ownership of this infrastructure, privatization is not the only and the magic solution. Please explore several solutions before heading too fast on the privatization road, first of all. Secondly, we have published a book of guidelines about what has to be done when the government chooses to privatize through concession, what he has to do and what he has not to do. So our position is clear. It's not a matter of principle, but we are not in favor or against. We say there are several solutions, explore them all before rushing into one which has not always demonstrated its ability to solve all the problems. There is no magic in privatization.
What frankly IATA wanted is when governments privatize, that there should be a proper regulatory oversight on what that privatized airports start charging the airlines and its passengers. So we are not looking at only the airline side, because IATA of course represents all the airlines, but we also represent the interest of the passengers who travel on those airlines. And if you really notice that most of the privatized airports immediately hike the charges with not equal investments into improving the infrastructure. So we as IATA want to make sure that any investments that is being done is done in a cohesive way, at the same time making sure that there are proper caps on what an operator can charge to both the airlines and its passengers.
Hi, good morning. Seth Miller from access.aero. In the human capital section of your speech this morning, Mr. Juniac, you highlighted the lack of women executives, and a year on from last year's IATA meeting where there was some excitement about that topic, I'll say at the end. It doesn't seem that too much has changed, certainly not visible at the top leadership. And I'm curious, can you get into some of the specifics about what IATA is doing to try to change that, where progress really is being made?
First of all, you have probably noticed that on stage there was a woman. Just to start with that. First of all. Secondly, we have 2 board members now. It's too little, I fully admit. The 2 board members are women. We have launched an extensive and comprehensive study to analyze what has to be done, what are the best practices. And finally, when you think about that, it's a long-term issue. We will have to work on the next 5 to 10 years to improve regularly, year after year, the position of women among the top jobs. of airline because we are lagging behind. But there are a lot of our members who are doing very well in that respect. And tomorrow we will award. We have an award for the women in industry, an IATA award that Qatar has sponsored.
Actually, it is 3 awards.
It is 3 awards. It's a global award for entrepreneurs. So tomorrow. So we are working, long-standing work, but if we do the job properly, in 10 years from now, the situation will be different.
Good question.
Eric Bennett from newspaper Le Soir in Belgium. Is pilot shortage still a problem? And do you have an idea of how much it has cost to the sector?
We know from the figures that are provided by various sources that we need hundreds of thousands of pilots in the next 15 years. So it's an issue. We are working on that. We have to dimension our training system to address that issue. I'm not worried that this industry is able to cope with that. Pilot, especially because the pilot job is an attractive job. So we don't have recruitment problem, and we have to dimension and to plan the training system and the qualification system accordingly. I'm not worried about that.
A lot of young men and women aspire to become pilots because this profession is a dream of a lot of young men and women. Unfortunately, it is not affordable for them to get trained to meet their dreams. So we are encouraging airlines as IATA to give scholarships to these young men and women in order for them to fulfill their dreams to fly airplanes. And to quite simply say, as far as I am not supposed to be talking about the airline, Qatar Airways, but for example, we encourage pilots to come and we give them scholarships, and there are many other airlines that are doing the same. So if we do this, I don't think that there will be at all any shortage of pilots. Actually, there could be access in the pilot population.
Marissa?
Thank you, Marissa Garcia, FC Media. You mentioned during your speech today, Mr. Juniac, about the issue of certification. Over 3 decades, we have been working towards a harmonization standards across the globe, all of the regulators coming together to unify their standards. And for the first time this year, we saw a rift in the action of regulators, which is really unprecedented. Taking aside the root cause of that specific rift, do you believe that now there may be a mistrust, an ongoing issue of trying to go back to a harmony in the regulatory landscape, and what cost impact could that have for airlines?
The interest of safety and the interest of our industry is to have a complete harmonized system and collaborative system of certification among regulators, with a single authority, which is the leading authority, and the others having mutual recognition of the work and the certification that has been done by the leading authority. And we will advocate in favor of that. Do everything we can to maintain that system, including, if needed, an improvement in the certification system by any means the regulators can find to improve their processes. Okay? That's one of the key issues for us.
And yet, there was a reversal of that. That's been the trend for 30 years, but there was a dramatic reversal of that this year. So do you worry that now there's simply just not the trust value there to go back to where we were? I mean, it feels like a divorce, an ugly divorce.
One of the purposes of the meeting we are organizing with regulators 737 MAX operators and aircraft manufacturers is to try to restore this collaboration, to reinforce, to strengthen this absolutely necessary collaboration between regulators.
We'll take a question there, and after that we'll have 2 or 3 questions maximum. So, question in the back.
Good morning. This is Manoj Raman from Festus of India. Yeah, the Indian market witnessed high growth for more than 4 years, but we also saw the shutting down of Jet Airways. So your thoughts on that, and secondly, what do you think what's not being done right by either the airlines or the government?
On the Indian market, you know, we met when I was there. You remember that we said that the Indian market has been touched by very heavy negative purpose, especially the evolution of the currency, and combined with the increase in oil price, it has had bad effects on the profitability and the financial health of our Indian members. All our Indian members, and even our Indian non-members. So everyone is suffering from these macroeconomic issues. The fact that one of our members has disappeared is always for us something very sad. Because it was a contributor and strong contributor to IATA.
We're only a few more minutes left, so maybe we'll take another.
He has another question to ask. Please give him the microphone.
So as a follow-up, so what do you think is not going right in the Indian market, despite the high growth potential?
It's always difficult to comment on market, on prices, on etc. Because it's not the IATA business. It's company decisions and company strategies. Sorry for that.
I would have answered you if I was not representing IATA.
You can talk
No, yeah, exactly. I can only talk to you when I'm not the chairman of IATA.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a question in the second row. To the front.
예, 한국 동아일보 변정국 기자라고 합니다. 사무총장님과 앞에 계신 조항태 의장님을 비롯한 플로어에 질문을 드리고 싶은데요. IATA는 항공 자유화에 대해서 기본적으로 어떤 확대했으면 좋겠다는 어떤 의견을 가지고 있는 것으로 알고 있습니다. 그런데 아시아나 중동, 또 유럽 일부 국가들 정부에서는 국가들 간의 이해관계나 특정 국적 항공사의 어떤 경쟁력 상실 등을 우려로 해서 굉장히 소극적인 모습을 보이고 있는데요. 한국도 좀 그런 모습을 보이고 있다고 생각하는데 이에 대해서 플로어에 계신 분들은 어떻게 생각하시는지 궁금합니다.
Perhaps just for the people in the room, because I'm not sure everyone heard the translation.
Well, I think he is mentioning about protectionist tendencies of countries where open sky is restricted. And of course, he mentions Korea is one of them. So, Alexandre, you want to answer? Because if I say something, it will become very controversial. So I better keep my mouth shut.
You know, of course, IATA is generally in favor of opening the barriers for flying, but we recognize that among our members, the position to generalize open sky is not a unified position, so we cannot have any official saying on that point.
You mentioned about Middle East. Let me be very clear. I know that in the Middle East there are government policies not to protect the national carriers. But open sky is only normally awarded when there is a reciprocity that both countries accept. So you cannot get open sky from one country and the other country is restricting the open sky. Now, for example, talking about the state of Qatar, they have awarded open sky to my country, but the other side has not. But to just show that there are countries, and we should not, just target Korea or target X or Y or Z. To be fair, it's a government policy. It's not an airline policy. So open sky really is an issue that needs to be addressed on the government level.
We have time for one last question. Who would like to ask the last question?
I think somebody must ask a question from Mr. Choi. You all have let him off the hook.
Yes, I will talk in Korean in fairness of our Korean press here. 지금 아까 회장님께서 말씀하신 대로 오픈 스카이나 그런 각 정부의 정책인 것은 맞습니다. 그거에 대해서는 특별한 의견은 없고요. 저희도 저희 한국 정부의 정책에 따라간 것이 항공사